the same time, like it can be like a split push type of composition. We've seen a Paquito in the mid lane. I think it's also a flex pick that comes out from Burmese Ghouls. I'm not so sure if RRQ she will respond immediately by taking it, but there's a lot to take in here for the first phase. I was thinking about the Ruby, which seems to be a standard first choice, but Guinevere here for the side of RRQ Hoshi, which I think is a very safe pick. It's a flex pick. Like you can go with it in the jungle, you can go with it in the XP lane, sometimes even the roam. So super flexible. We're talking about the flexibility. I like that coming out from RQ, but Burmese schools can either answer it out with a Ruby and a Claude here being picked up. One of the most picked heroes as well so far in the tournament, and has a very good win rate, by the way.
Yeah, not to mention, Stitch had some MVP performances on this as well, and they're going to work around that. Not to mention picking up Ruby, like you said, it's top pick right now, but we'll have to see again if they're actually able to utilize it the way they need to, because so far we don't 100% know where the Guinevere is going. We can assume that maybe it goes in the jungle, maybe it doesn't. Even yesterday alone, we saw it even in the roam. So with that, again, where do they go from here? They take up the CC, they take up Nana. So this is a lot of damage already in these first three picks. Nana has been a menace. Her and Melina just wrecking havoc right now so far. And this,
I mean, when you look at her photo, it doesn't look like it, right? When you look at her photo, it doesn't look like it.
Kim,
Yeah. It is. I mean, we've talked about this with Private. I think the only time we've seen this was like, well, it has appeared in multiple games, but I think I love this coming out from RQ Hoshi, showing us that, the Nana is not only a beast in ranked games. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It appeared several times, not to mention, I like the adjustments that were made to it recently. Like the Molina can actually not stun one person, right? You can stun like 3 people. So like for RQ so far, it has that great burst combination. Burmese Schools immediately answers it out by picking up the Akai here to kind of shake things up. But at the same time, I'm not so sure if this is a good pick up against like the Nana. Like the Nana's Molina kind of counters out the Akai, right? Like when you pop the heavy spin. So I'm not so sure, but for Sax, right, he's kind of taking away or kind of picking up this Akai already, since there were 2 bans centered towards him in the first phase. The Barretts and the Martis were already out. Some of his most picked heroes so far in the tournament.
Yeah, and it's funny with that because Akai popped up yesterday as well a couple times, and even if you're playing into a Nana, I feel like it can still work. It can still work okay, because really when it comes to the positioning, getting the lockdown with the heavy spin, the way that works, and sometimes it's not even about getting the lockdown. It's actually the way that you can utilize it, and we've seen this happen before with Saxa, is just, hey, push them away from the objective. Again, we talk a lot about the dances, the objective dances, and that's one great tool or utility, I guess, that Akai brings, is sometimes you're just pushing the other jungler away so that you can get the retribution off and work off of that. So again, a lot of CC available to them. Claude scales up. We know that he can be a menace later on himself, pushing those side lanes, putting pressure there if it's not controlled. But right now, as we get through this second phase here, Kim, a couple more bans to go before we see how this unfolds. And we already see some focus here on the XP lane as well.
Yeah, Dilar, I was actually going to talk a little bit about that, because looking at RRQ Hoshi, they kind of want to focus on like team fights, right? You got the Guinevere here to set up the plays. Even the CC here kind of sets up the plays. But for RRQ, they're kind of, respecting the fact that Dilar, this is not a Ruby, Dilar's Ruby. So he might actually go for, something else. We've seen it on a Lapu Lapu several times. Benedetta as well, that can do the split pushes here for Burmese Schools. I talked a little bit about that earlier, that Dilar can also go for those kind of mobile heroes that can disrupt the jungle. So for RQ Hoshi, the last ban, I feel like they should center it around Dilar. Just the same thing as like Burmese Schools is centering around the jungle here for the last 2 bans. They take away the Lancelot and the Nolan that I mentioned, that is really good when you kind of want to go for that great early game, which kind of leaves Irat here with either going for another utility, because they already have the burst damage here, or they want to add up to more damage by picking up like a something crazy like a Fanny here. I mean, they already have Skylar here to pick up that either a carry here to shred up the tanky heroes, or maybe
Yeah.
go for something like something that can go head to head with a Claude in the early.
They could do that. They could, again, I think they could even possibly just go a safe route. They already have so much damage available to them in the early game. If they really want to go in with scale and work around this, they might even opt. What if they go for, of course, like it's not banned out, the carry's available, Bruno's still there. Those are some picks that they could pick up and go with. Fairness being picked up on the other side, again, is something that you have to be conscious of, right? I was even thinking of possibly an Aurora popping up because we've seen that come through quite a bit. There's the Bruno. So Bruno is going to be locked in. That's the choice here for Skylar, which is great because Bruno's a great turret destroyer, right? Let him go ahead and farm up, do what he needs to do, and then the damage has to be respected later on. The Minotaur, last pick here for RQ Hoshi. So now we know exactly where things are falling into place, right? Of course, this provides them a lot of that sustainability still based off the heroes that they have and a lot of CC. So it's a good thing that Burmese Ghouls has that fairness, right? Because they're going to want to use that that Colt Altar to really help them survive a lot of this.
Yeah, they're already anticipating that this is going to be an all-out brawl between them and RRQ. I mean, looking at the lineup here of RRQ, you got the Minotaur, the Guinevere. This is what's really good about the Guinevere, too. I think this might actually be the Irad's hero, right? So as long as the Guinevere has someone to front for you, you can just keep on setting up and not worry about getting taken down. But for the side of Burmese Ghouls, they also lock up something really interesting themselves. And I think overall, like, you can expect to see like a lot of clashes here from the start and even until mid-game.
Again, we'll see as both these lineups are locked in and ready. I feel like it's been a while too since we've seen you know, with Faramis, I'm so used to seeing the Valentina across from him, but I like the fact, again, I'm a huge fan of these picks popping up that are, I guess Nana's kind of meta now, but you know, for the longest time, she wasn't meta. So I like that she still fits into this this whole play style for a lot of these teams. So talking about magic damage, talking about sustainability, they have all that here for RQ. Burmese Ghouls, on the other hand, like I said, they're gonna have to play around the utility that they bring to the table with these picks, right? The Ruby, the Akai, and everything else. So again, let's see how it all unfolds. We saw both the lineups here. I'm going to go ahead and lean towards this lineup from RQ Hoshi. I think they should be able to pull it off. But we're going to be jumping here into the land of Dawn here. Game number 1. Down to the last 8 teams. We're kicking off here. RQ Hoshi, Burmese Ghouls in this best of 3. One of these teams will be sent out of the tournament here after the series. So we all start here once again. Taking a look at the early rotations, emblems, nothing quite, you know, out of the ordinary here. Banana, though, opting for a lot of that sustainability again with this CC. We'll see how this all works out. Burmese Ghouls, they have, they gotta play around the fact that they have, oh, hold on, already in the mid lane, though. Jump in, come through. Nico's gonna be just fine. Gives them a thumbs up as well. So for now, back and forth. We're going to wait for that first big objective, of course, the turtle. I'm not sure if either of these teams have what they need to get an early first blood before the objective. I think it's better they play it safe again when we're talking about exactly what is at stake here, right? So for now, let's see once again how it goes. Banana and Delar. Banana should have a pretty good lane so far for the most part until that level 4 is available. There you are, Kim. So yeah, nothing, you didn't miss too much.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a minute in, no first blood. Kind of expected to see this from, of course, RQ and Burmese. They want to be a little bit more careful, kind of going in for a lot of these early game pokes first. I like this XP lane choice from RQ. They decided to go with this, especially since this can kind of like put Dilara back. Like we've seen this in some games of the Burmese Ghouls that, you know, Dilar had a very early wave clear, so he was able to reach level 4 much faster than the opponent, which kind of really enables Burmese Ghouls to kind of take in these early turtles. But so far, it's RRQ. Irad actually started up 140 HP already for the turtle.
Yep, they go in. Heavy spin already used. Turtle for the taking. Irad going to be able to get it. They get the stun off as well. Not sure if they still want to be going for it, though. They're going to fight it out, and they back off. They disengage. Good thing, too. Once again, they have that Nether Realm available from Nico.
Yeah, those was very good zoning as well from RRQ. Like you see, Banana, not only was he able to clear lanes pretty fast, he was also able to zone out Saksa there so he can, push forward and try to go for that heavy spin and just click that retribution and steal that Lord. But overall, for RRQ, right, like so far, their lanes are pretty much contained. Like you see how Delar was super aggressive too when it came to like the turtle take. He went in and tried to go in for that level 4 so he can pop in that Black Dragon and be able to kind of mess up RRQ's turtle take there. But so far, RRQ has been successful. No first blood yet. 3 minutes in already in the game.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? Because we're talking about the aggression from both of these teams, but and that's not going to find the connection they're looking for. But hold on, still pressure.
Oh,
what a huge! I'm offended into the heavy spin, able to get the lockdown. Irad going to be the one to go down. First blood going to the hands of Burmese Ghouls. What a set there from Blink, utilizing the flicker combination with the I'm offended. Still going to be up here on the top side, but they should be fine for now. What a play!
Yeah, just when we were talking about no first blood, kind of called it there. Nice tuck in there. Flicker was available for Blink, and he was able to do that. And now Banana in trouble. Ooh, this is what I was talking about, though. 1-for-1 trade-off onto the bottom side. And you see kind of like the aggression of Delar, right? Going right into the turret to make sure that he gets the pick-off. But again, kind of nullified since it was like a 1-for-1 trade. Here on the middle side, though, Burmese Ghouls. Burmese setting things up, but not be able to get anything. Burmese Ghouls so far, they got that nice first blood. They got it in 2 pickoffs, but it's still RRQ Hoshi leading, all because of the turtle takes that they've been taking. And not to mention, look at Skylar there over on the top side, actually forcing Stitch to actually go to the XP lane instead.
It's a good choice. I mean, a lot of these rotations happening here are very smart on both sides, for the most part. An early game, not anything too crazy happening. You see Blink, if he continues to do that every time the flicker's available to him, is really going to pay off, right, for Burmese Ghouls. That's kind of what they have to do. But Brusco on the other side, well-timed Annoying Fury is going to help them out. And not only that, but they have the extra CC available to them with Irad's kit. Dragon Form going to come down, still be working for this turtle. Second one, Sock's able to secure it. Gets a lockdown now on Irad. He's kind of stuck between the wall. He'll get taken out by Delar. And there's nothing RRQ could do there. So objective and a kill for Burmese Ghouls.
I like how Burmese Ghouls also kind of like knew that Brusco there did not have that flicker, so they were so confident in trying to take down this turtle to the point that the RQ was just like trying to find the proper setup there. We kind of see the attempts there from Irad trying to go in for the Violet Requiem and the Spatial Migration, but it kind of backfired here onto RRQ, and now so far Burmese Ghouls, they've done a good job of equalizing things out. Brusco though
goes in, jumps in, but look at that. Again, the sustainability is kind of the way, of course, NetherRealm works. It buys you a little more time, and they're going to be just fine.
I'm worried about for the side of Burmese Ghouls, though. They have to check Skylar as of the moment. He's gotten all the gold plating over on the top side. Not to mention that he's been pushing the lanes pretty fast. You did mention that this Bruno is a turret shredder, and so far he's been taking this turret now almost to 1/4 HP. They should be able to take this. Great map control here for RRQ. Great space that they've made, especially since they still need to take in the last turtle and possibly the next Lord coming into this game. But so far, gold lead, you don't see anyone leading as of the moment because everybody is it's kind of a little bit careful when it comes to all these engages, right? Like once you engage, you don't have that right follow-up, it might actually just be a double-edged sword for your team.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, you have to respect the fact that even with everything happening now, in the past couple of minutes, it's pretty much even, economy-wise, right, for the most part. And Skylar not going down, able to kind of just farm up here is great for RRQ. But even on the flip side, Burmese Ghouls, exactly, Stitch, having an early kill, able to work on his own here, will pay off later on, of course, as you scale up on this Claude pick. So right now, stalemates. Third turtle of the game, though, for the taking here. Both teams getting in position. Only Skylar down on the bottom side, so both teams want to go full force here. The difference maker could be that gold lane, having that available. You can already see in the mid lane, whittling down slowly, but Stitch going to go down bottom. Team's going to be fighting it out 4-on-4 here for this third turtle. Taking it slow. Turret goes down to the bottom side as both gold laners wait there. Turtle's going to reset once again. Still looking for an angle here. Brusco there in the front lines. No one committing just yet. They're trying to feel this out. Yeah, they have to. There's some pressure, though, in the mid lane. They got to deal with it for now. RQ still in position. Right now, Burmese Ghouls just kind of letting them take control of this space. Blink not going to commit. There's the dragon form finally going for the initiation. Huge stuff
nice
there
one
from Brusco, though, with the flicker, Minoan Fury. Now looking to battle now. Still looking for a kill to fall here, though, as both gold laners trying to make it away. Delar will finally fall. Stitch now joining the fight. Irad taking a couple shots. He's almost there, but another knockup comes through as Irad falls. It's a double for Stitch, though. But Skylar finally gets a kill as well. And now the mid lane turret goes down next. They find wins on both sides here, but RQ pulling out just a little bit ahead. Now Soxa, buff can be worked on, and he's deleted by Banana. Gets whittled down quickly. And that is tough for them. Stitch now the answer here with Blink still. Banana going to be able to get away from the I'm offended. Wow, so much back and forth here, Kim.
Yeah, we kind of expected this coming out. All-out brawl from the side. Burmese School, big window. There was a trade from RQ Hoshi on the middle lane, so that's also pretty big for them to give that map control towards their side. Right now, that is big because RQ Hoshi just finally got this first Lord of the Game. Not the Luminous one, but this will actually give more pressure to Burmese Schools. They've been winning all of these clashes, but they haven't been able to convert as much turret takes as compared to RQ Hoshi, who has been slowly taking it in. Care of Skylar, 101 on this Bruno, 7,600 gold for him, at least 1,000 more than what Stitch has. But so far, you know, we can't count out Stitch just yet. This is a Claw that you're talking about. He just picked up the Demon Hunter sword too, so that's going to be big for the side of Burmese Schools when it comes to these clashes. That blazing duet that Stitch has to time up really well. He also has that Purify, so pretty much he's just going to go for the cleanup work here if Burmese Schools decides to go in for the full engage.
Okay, and with that, they got the Lord work in here. RQ now going to go ahead and get these turrets down, move around the map with the space that they garnered themselves. We'll be taking the resources as well on top of it. So Burmese Ghouls once again finding themselves in a troubling position. This round could slip out of their hands very quickly, depending on how they deal with this push. It's going to come down once again if Blink can find a setup that he's going to be looking for on this Ruby pick once again. He's kind of the big answer for them. Delar also now at this point with Dragon Form has to be really careful on his positioning. Turret now in the mid lane, tier 2 going to fall into focus, top side, tier 3. And you can already see Skylar very confident, kind of poking down what he can. Shield's already taken care of as well in the mid lane. But right now, Burmese Ghouls holding it together on the defense.
For Burmese Schools and RQ, what they both have in common right now is the timing of the ultimates. The Nether Realm here, the Blazing Duet. Even for the side of RQ, the timing here of Brusco's setup. He does have the flicker here. They want to go for the pressure here on the mid side. There's tug in by Blink.
Able to get the pull here, but he's still going to be able to stay alive through it all. Nether Realm comes down too. Dragon Form there to cut him off a little bit. Delar, though, takes shots. No one goes down in the exchange. Big item picks up as well. The Flask of the Oasis now for Brusco. Sustainability going to be there, and they're getting another turret as well. The jump in from Irad finds the Requiem. Now Banana also unleashing. Stitch able to get the kill, but it's Nico that falls. 2 down for Burmese Ghouls and RQ. Looking to end game number 1 here, working on the crystal. Can Burmese Ghouls clear the waves, keep it together? They find a little bit of room to work with. Blink's the one to fall, but Skylar has so much damage on this Bruno, and that looks like it's going to be it as RQ takes game number 1.
Wow, just when we thought that it could have been at least like a more than 15 minutes game, that was actually a pretty fast game there from RRQ. Both sides are actually, they actually calculated all of their clashes pretty well, right? There was a point that all of them actually used up all of their ultimates, but none of them were taken down. What RQ actually did really well in that final clash was just to have that selective targeting on those heroes, right? Like Brusco was down, yeah, the main one taking up all of the damage, but that actually enabled Skylar and even Octa there with the Nana to be able to get the prime position and kind of burst everyone down while everybody was too busy trying to take Brusco down.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, when you're thinking about that early game, you know, how kind of even it looked, and great setup here in the early game from Burmese Ghouls and Blink, you know, able to pull that through. But the problem was, as much as it was a stalemate from the early portion of the game, and it was relatively even economy-wise, it's like a switch just flipped for RQ at some point, right? And they were able to really kind of make these decisive maneuvers around some of these skirmishes and these team fights that gave them the upper hand. And that could just be the experience, the patience that they have, but it definitely just kind of shown here how strong they can be in some of these team fights and the way they approach them, because very quickly it just went in their favor here, especially after fights like this kind of turned out.
Yeah, the problem too here with the side of Burmese Ghouls, once it reached the late game, right? For Stitch, he was able to kind of have that killing spree, right? Even in these clashes, you can see he's been popping in these blazing duets, timed really well, and it actually kind of made it hard for RRQ Hoshi in the team fight. So RRQ Hoshi kind of understood that. They're like, okay, we have to kind of address the back lines here, or maybe kind of force Burmese Ghouls to pop in all of their ultimates. Once it's all down, it's going to be kind of hard for them to go in for the engage. And as you can see, this for RQ, they were willing to take down the back lines. Here you see a nice setup here from Irad, which kind of enabled all of the rest of RQ Hoshi to actually make the plays. As long as Skylar is safe here, as long as he's protected here for RQ Hoshi, they could have locked in the tower. And for Burmese Schools, they lacked that kind of wave clear here for their side. They did have the protection in the form of the Faramis, but it was kind of not enough to take down the main problem, which is of course backline, and at the same time Banana as well being the MVP here for this game. We've seen him zone the side of Burmese Schools here several times, not only in the clashes, but even in the major objectives, which kind of is, I would say that CD is that kind of hero that is not really that, for me, it's not really that OP, but it really is super annoying to be in lane with. You've seen even in the early phase of the game where, you know, Dilar really had a hard time to clear out the lane, like Banana had much better wave clear, and at the same time, it was really, really annoying when it comes to these clashes that, you know, he was just zoning the backlines, and it was hard for, you know, either Nico or even Stitch here to get the prime position in the clash.
Yeah, it was great. Again, you know, Banana didn't even have, you know, he didn't have to have that many items to do what he wanted to do. You know, he had a couple locked in there on the defensive, and he was able to play around the Vengeance as well. And he was just really good at kind of playing that front line when Brusco wasn't available, or maybe Brusco had already done the Minoa and Fury combination, and there was a couple times where it looked like he was going to go down, but Banana was, you know, there then to deal with, and he's just kind of a nuisance for a Burmese Ghoul lineup to deal with. And even though, once again, when we were talking about it in the draft here, they had a lot of utility available to them for Burmese Ghouls. They had a lot of just options that they could have used, and we saw glimpses of that, you know, like that's what we saw from Blink early on. And it just, unfortunately, it did not result in what they wanted to. It's like at some point they were keeping up with RQ, and then things just kind of, you know, fell apart from there. And then you just don't have enough time, I feel like, for the Claude to build up. I mean, this was a rather quick game. And most people will know that when Claude is locked in, like, that's the thing you need. You need time, man. You need time to build up, to get the 3-4 items that you need, and then to be really that pressure, whether that's in the team fights or you're just pushing a side lane. But, you know, and that's one of the great things why that matchup happens so often, where a Claude is locked in, and then you see a Bruno across from you, because honestly, Bruno just needs like 2 items, and he's kind of already doing the damage, you know, like he already kind of hurt. So, you know, and this is something that was unfolding here, not to mention the reason why, Kim, we see so much Nana right now, because sometimes all you have to do is drop the blitz. You know, that's it. Drop the blitz in the straight line. You've got it paired up with, fine. Yeah, you've got the, you know, you've got the Minotaur as well. So it lines everything up really perfectly. And I feel like, again, Burmese Ghouls lineup, they kind of needed a little more time here. And RQ knew the assignment. They're just like, yeah, we're not going to give you guys the time that you need to scale up against what we have. And that was the case of game number 1. You know, it was a well-played execution, because anytime you really see these games end at this, you know, this time frame, a lot of the times that first Lord push too, after the first Lord, and there's not even a need for the second one, it's just a finesse by the team. It's just a good execution of whatever they drafted, and the way that they played around their timers and the rotations. And I feel like that's what we saw from RQ from game 1. So, you know, now we have to kind of consider the fact, while we wait for game 2 draft here, Kim, like, what does Burmese Ghouls do here? Like, did you agree with the draft and the game plan it seemed like they had? And should they change that up for game 2 to get to a game 3? Because again, it's match point now for RQ Hoshi.
Yeah. I keep forgetting that these are like just BO3s, like
Yeah, it's
huge
just a
matches. Like
BO3.
these are BO3. There's just only so much you can do, right? Like the adjustments that you have to make, knowing that. I mean, even the pressure, thinking about that the next match is gonna be a match point for you, and if you don't win it or if you don't take it to a game number 3, it's over for your team, right? Definitely a lot of pressure from Burmese schools. What I noticed from their draft is they're kind of reacting to what RRQ actually put out, right? Like they had burst, they answered it out with the Faramis, but they pretty much didn't think about like the overall picture of like how that will all pull in together, right? Like they had the for what RRQ did is they worked in on those turrets. They gave so much space also for their team in that early game. So for the side of Burmese schools, I think they kind of have to play it out, of course, real safe here in the second game, and at the same time maybe try to go for what they did in the group stage, like picking something different in the mid lane, or maybe perhaps like going for a little bit more of like comfort picks rather than reacting to the draft here of RRQ.
Yeah, I feel like if I had to pick something apart, like I understand the Faramis kit and you know how it can provide some of that utility, of course, with the Netherrealm and everything else, but it just didn't feel like it could have been, like there probably was a better option for me personally that you could have put in the mid lane there to match up against the Nana. And I did mention, again, we have seen so much Aurora pop up. Of course, I believe the Vexana was, I think it was banned out.
It was
but
banned
that
out,
has also popped up. Yeah, that has popped up a lot. Of course, Novaria, but that was banned out. So it's like, you know, again, you kind of have to decide what is our game plan. It just felt like that lineup, that composition that they had was like, all right, utility. That's what we're going to go with. And we're going to hope that, again, we are buying enough time for our Claude to farm up, you know, and it just didn't get to that point. So you were talking about what they could do here. I personally think that what I'd love to see Burmese is do kind of what they did yesterday, you know? They were a little more aggressive in their picking and their play style. And if that also means, hey, maybe this means put Dalar, you know, put a Paquito in Dalar's hand so he can be a little more proactive and a little bit more like of a threat, I guess, in this and deal with it, because I don't know. Yuzhong right now for me is just not cutting it. I don't know the 100% statistic on the win rate for Yuzhong. I don't think it's that good though, because so far from what I've seen, I know he's only been picked a couple of times. Maybe he's even just
6 times to be exact.
Okay, he's been picked 6 times. Like, it seems like a struggle for the Yuzhongs to really work right now, especially when they're dealing with how much impact right now CC has. Like, CC is also just one of those heroes that's popping up often, and it's tough to deal with. So I personally think that Burmese Ghouls, they opt for a little bit going back to that foundation of let's be aggressive, let's make these plays, and not play to the pacing set by RQ Hoshi.
Yeah, the pacing too, like Burmese schools, the way they drafted even in the group stage was really aggressive, like picking up a Barret very early on and picking up like direct counters to really like Barrets and Paquito, even be sold to putting the Paquito in the mid. So they should kind of go to the basics here for their side. That was there. I would have gone split. They were still was on earlier. It kind of seemed to be like, okay, I have to be in the team fights. I need to have that black to zone everyone away. So I think for Burmese schools, just go back to what they know, go back to what they're comfortable with, and go back to their identity, which is being aggressive, and also at the same time having these contemporary pick mid and even in these feelings sometimes here for Dalar.
I think now that they're on the side getting that first pick, if it doesn't get banned out, I think they should take Guinevere, because that was in the recipe for them yesterday, right? They had Guinevere in both games that they won. They can go ahead and start there and then build around that. But, you know, both games as well, like I said, Dalar had a little bit of a more kind of action-packed hero where he could make these plays or these setups. And if that happens, then great. Bans, though, so far, you know, the Novaria and the CC being taken out by Burmese Ghouls is a great step also in the right direction, dealing with that. And, you know, for RQ Hoshi, they're going to be like, you know, we're going to focus on this utility jungle. We don't want to deal with it right now. And we'll see if they actually go still that way with these last bans in this first phase. What are we thinking here, Kim?
Looking at BG here is you can kind of see the impact of the CC, right? I mean, I'm not so sure
Yeah.
if Delar's very comfortable with this hero, but looking at this hero pool, it was more of those heroes that can be a bit mobile, can take care of itself. I mean, general after all, so he can. I think for RQ Hoshi, they have a good idea of like banning away these utility type of heroes that the Sox has been so good at picking up. This ban is going to be the material. Still, I think it should be permanently on the ban list with the how much shields it can give, and at the same time how much mobility it can give the entire team. And Burmese, you mentioned nice, who it is going to be your first pick here for the side of Burmese Schools. Again, I cannot confirm if this is going to be in the jungle. A good flex pick here coming out from Burmese Schools, but for RQ Hoshi, they can kind of shake things up here, kind of answer out to the Guinevere, maybe pick up the Ruby, or at the same time pick up the Claude that Burmese Schools actually prioritize in the first game.
And there it is, right? I mean, I know I disappeared for a second. I heard everything you said there, though, Kim. But the Guinevere popping up, I think that's a great choice. You kind of play around that now. And like I said, you said this too, go back to some of that foundation that you have. And the recipe for success is, even yesterday. But I feel like still you got to be able to answer. There it is, the Nana. The Nana was open, so it's probably most likely going to be taken once again for RQ as they do that. And this time too, they go with the Claude themselves. So this could be something where it's like, all right, Burmese Ghouls, do they actually want to go with that similar matchup? Like, do they want to lock in the Bruno, and deal with? It's a flip side type thing, and they could build around that. I think this is still, though, so far, let's see what these next two picks are going to be for Burmese Ghouls, but I just like the fact that they at least went with the Guinevere, because although we did see it twice even yesterday, giving them a success, they could still flex it. Like, there's still room for that. Paquito comes up too. It's just like I was saying,
That's what I was
Kim,
waiting for.
Go to what worked for them yesterday, and try that here. There's the Bruno. So this is looking very similar to if you guys caught game 2 of yesterday against Twisted Minds. I think it was a very quick game. It was like 12 minutes. And they had the Guinevere, Bruno, Paquito. I think they had a Grok as well. And I think they had Valentina, if I remember right. So the Grok was there, and, it's... We'll see if that happens, but they're going back to that foundation we were talking about here.
Yeah, the Paquito here and the Guinevere. I just want to say that this is really confusing right now, especially for, let's say, some of the people who just come in. They're pretty new to the meta. Nico has actually flexed this Paquito in the group stage twice, back-to-back games in the mid lane. Not only can Delar do that split push, Nico can also do the exact same thing. He was a menace to the team that they were going up against. I think that was Lil Gun that they've gone up against in the group stage. And Nico's Paquito was really, really deadly, like hiding in the bush, getting in those single target pickoffs with his ultimate, and is able to delete, like pretty much like the Nana, it can delete you out of the map. So I still can't tell like if this lineup of Burmese Schools is like is it a Paquito Delar or is it a Nico Paquito, things like that. But for RQ Hoshi right now, they have this lineup that's packed with like bursts. So they need someone to frontline.
Yeah.
They pick up the Ruby here. Again, I still don't know if this is going to be a Brusco hero or a Banana hero. I think they might adjust depending on what Burmese Schools will pick up here for their last 2 picks.
Yeah, I'm wondering if RQ Hoshi even wants to ban out the Valentina. They might not go that route and just let it slip through, because I could see also if it is a Delar Paquito, right, and then you take the Valentina for Burmese Ghouls, you actually can take the Ruby Ultimate, the I'm Offended, and use it. We've seen that happen before, but obviously too, just having the Nana available to you, having that Melina Blitz is also quite devastating when you have a Guinevere there. And like you mentioned already, Paquito, one of the great things about it is you put the pressure of getting that passive from Nana down really quickly, because it's like, couple hits and That's the thing about her, right? She's kind of squishy. So they don't go that route. They do take out the Grok, which was, again, in this lineup that they have, very similar, being built up to what they did yesterday. Grok was one of the components to this lineup for Burmese Ghouls. And so they decide to take that out and leave that Valentina open for now. And Burmese Ghouls is up to their last ban. So we'll see how that falls into place. But, you know, I'm sitting here thinking for RQ Hoshi, based on the fact that they just have this Ruby, how do they want to build up the XP lane, you know, specifically? Because if it is a Paquito across from them, Arlot's going to be taken out. I was going to say Arlot, or even maybe they go with a Lapu Lapu if they want to have some more setup potential and pair up with the Ruby here. But now that the second phase of the bans are done, we'll see where this kind of falls into place here for RQ.
Yeah, I'm looking at the draft here of both sides so far. They've already taken away all of the options here. Even got all sides covered by taking out the Grok, like just kind of anticipating that might be another thing that the Burmese Schools might pull off here in this you know, match point for RRQ. I like how they have the burst here for RRQ Hoshi. Burmese Schools has that in the form of the Guinevere here. Still thinking, what else do we have here? They still, sometimes these drafts can get pretty confusing because you still don't know who's gonna go where. But now RQ Hoshi, they lock in this Fredrin here, which is actually a very good front line for these burst damage dealers. I think this might be, I'm thinking like this might be a Brusco hero. Like, this would be so good up against like a Burmese Schools lineup. Like having that Ruby just roam all around the map can be really, really hard for heroes like the Guinevere and the Paquito here. Still not confirmed where it's going to be going. I like the Valentina choice here. Could be a great pickup. But, and again, there's so many good ultimates here from the side of RQ, which kind of gets you thinking, which one did you pick up, right? Is it going to be the Molina Blitz of the Nana? Is it the I Am Offended? Or is it even the Blazing Duet here of the Claude? I think the Valentina would still be good here.
How do you feel about Aurora? Is this a place
kind of hard though to go up against the Fredrin though. Yeah, I think I prefer the Valentina. Okay. I prefer the Valentina. I mean, the Aurora is great though, but it can't burst down the tanky front line here of RQ. So I like this coming out from Burmese Schools. It's kind of going back to what they're known for, and here it is. So is this a... Oh, okay. So it is going to be... Yeah, it's going to be a Roam Guinevere here. And then that's going to be a Baksha in the jungle.
Yep. And that's what I was saying. Like, when that was locked in the first time, like, there was the flex available, right? And they kind of left that open because the Grok was taken out. So they kind of adjust from there. They pick up the Baksha, you know, just assuming, you know, we might as well fight utility for utility in the jungle and kind of try to win some of those objective fights, those dances. The Minotaur is going to be locked in once again. This is very tanky for RQ Hoshi, right?
Yeah.
And they could find themselves in a position that Burmese Ghouls was in the previous game, right? Where, again, you're really waiting for this Claude to scale up, get the items that he needs. But that's where I feel like Nana shines, right? I mean, that's why she's picked up so much, because the early damage potential is very threatening. So the fact that you have a Valentina now is actually going to put you up to par with that, not to mention just having Terrify in her kit as well, kind of helping around the kind of early skirmishes that will happen here. And you have to respect her damage as well. So this is a lot better. Like, I like the Valentina a lot better than the Faramis. I know Faramis, you know, some people be like, well, you can build them in a certain way, pick up a certain emblem, and you can have great damage on a Faramis. Yeah, you could, but, you know, this I like this better because it also goes back to what they did yesterday in one of their quickest games, 12 minutes. And just like we saw in the previous game, it was a very quick game from RQ Hoshi. So I feel like the pieces here to this puzzle for the Burmese Ghouls is exactly what they need. So jumping into the game at Land of Dawn, game number 2 here. We're still on your screens. There it is.
I was going to say, we are going to be jumping in too.
So game 2 already. Early action as well. But yeah, anything standing out of the ordinary here for you, Kim?
Well, yeah, the emblems, nothing too out of the ordinary here, I would say. The spells, though, you got the Purify from the Brutal. Again, that's going to be crucial too, especially since RQ has all of these setups, right? You got the Minoan's Rage from, Minoan's Fury rather from Brusco. You also got Bananas, I Am Offended. Not to mention the Blazing Duet too from the Claude. It's not going to be easy for Stitch though, but I think if they go the route here of being aggressive early, which is what they're doing right now here up against RQ Hoshi.
Oh, yeah, already. Saksa going to take some damage, but again, these are, you know, very tanky heroes that don't have a ton of damage right now, so no one going to go down. Still a lot of CC potential, though. Brusco should be fine as well. And one thing that's great about the Minotaur, especially later on when he kind of rushes that Flask of the Oasis, it is tough to deal with, but hold on. Brusco could be the one in trouble as he's going to go down to first blood. Now Arad in trouble as well. 2 kills now for Burmese Ghouls. Exactly what they need here in game 2, Kim.
Yeah, level 4-2 going to be attained here by the Valentina in just a bit. I like how they picked this up too compared to the Aurora that you kind of mentioned, which is also still good. But the Valentina can scale up really well, care of her passive, right? Like she can scale up to level 4 right before a major objective like the Turtle, which is really good, right? You need all of these great ultimates to pick up. Right now, it's all up to Nico whether you want to pick up that Minotaur's ultimate or whether even if you want to go for Octa's ultimate here would be great. Burmese School started out real strong. Now they're looking to take in this first Turtle game, and so far RRQ after that those first 2 pickoffs actually, they're kind of having a hard time here.
They knew he was there. Brusco once again going to be the focus. They forget the Turtle for now. They want to get the kills here. The pull comes through. Irad could be in trouble, but look at the response. Now Blink has to get out of there. He's the one to fall from Octa. Now still going to be fighting it out for more. Irad the one to fall, still bloodied here. 1 HP. Banana trying to get away, but it's Nico that falls. It's a double for Saksa. But RQ gets on the board. But now they still might try to stop Burmese Ghouls from getting this Turtle if they can. Brusco not having that level 4 just yet. Take a look at the replay. They might be able to just get that Turtle. Keep an eye on that. It looks like they do, but this was a great play here from both teams. I mean, a lot of response back and forth, but yeah, the Turtle is taken here by Burmese Ghouls.
Yeah, I like the clap back there of RRQ. They kind of like, okay, you know what? Burmese Schools is going full aggressive. They actually went in for the full aggression too. Brusco actually flickered out there.
Oh.
What's really hard here too for the side of Burmese Schools is like the tanky front line. Like we're starting to see the damage coming out from the Nana, which we'll see even more later on. Like 2 kills already for Octa here, which is kind of something that Burmese Schools have to watch out for, especially in these clashes. Even here on the top side, we have to check the laning phase here of Stitch and Skylar. And so far, Skylar has been doing well up against this Bruno. As compared to earlier, like a lot of poke here coming out from both of our marksmen.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here, though. I saw Saksa rolling in. Yep. Still hungry for it, though. They should be able to protect him. Good rotation and response from RQ. Right now, also, the fact that I don't know if they still want to put the pressure here, but like you mentioned, Octa having those 2 kills early on will help him scale up pretty well. He does just have that magic penetration for currently the arcane boots, but he'll still be working around building up. And it looks like Burmese Ghouls still wants to put the pressure here on the top side. Irad going to spot Blink out, trying to get a little bit of extra gold here for Stitch, but ultimately resulting in nothing for now.
Yeah, you see how Burmese Schools also positioned themselves over on the top side, right? Kind of anticipating that RRQ Hoshi might actually create some pressure here up against Stitch. As long as he's fine, right? As long as he's able to get in his first 2 items, that should be good. Which is actually pretty much what the Burmese Schools has been doing so far here. 4 minutes in, they've been taking all of the turtles, and not to mention, like I want to point out that Saksa has been getting all of the kills too, which is really good for a Baksha here in the early game. If you think about it, it's not easy, right? To have this Baksha. You got the Nana. You got all of these frontliners. You got the taunts from the Fredrin, so it's not going to be easy to go up against them. But for Burmese Schools, as long as they can keep this up against RRQ, have this early take-ons onto the turtle. Yeah, for to their aggression. Stitch in trouble here. Man, it's not easy. You got all these 3 heroes to add up to the burst that they have. And now RQ Hoshi right now a little bit aggressive, going to the jungle side of the Burmese Ghouls.
Yeah. Okay, Nico not going to be able to connect on his own I'm offended, but Brusco now taking the brunt of the damage. Still, will he be able to get away? He doesn't as Blink gets the kill. Still, a lot of back and forth here from both teams. Kim, economically, though, it's pretty much even with all the action here. And now the 5-5 even across the board.
Yeah, if the economy is kind of equal, what you kind of take a look at is, do they have the map control? How's their gold laner doing? And so far for RRQ, this is what they did in the last game, right? Getting in that map control is so vital for them, even though they didn't really win those early game trades up against Burmese Ghouls. They managed to be able to take in the space. And mind you, this is a Claude you're talking about. Blink, gonna try to go in for banana here.
Oh, he's actually okay. He is not going to be able to get away. Great setup once again. Spatial migration into the Requiem. Able to get a kill now on the bottom side. They're going to focus here. Putting the pressure still. Like you were mentioning, you know, you have to look at who has this kind of advantage, right? And space-wise, yeah, it's RRQ. They've got 2 turrets. Burmese Ghouls, though, they don't care right now. And they're going to be making their way to this next objective, the turtle. If they can secure this one, it'll help them just a little bit deal with this. But right now, look at this. RQ doesn't want to go ahead and just give this away. They want to fight for it and get this positioning. Burmese Ghouls getting the first turret of the game for themselves here on the top side with Delar doing the work. But nothing committing just yet. They're going to back off. Soxa going in with the rest of the team. Nico has the I'm offended himself. Goes in right for Brusco. Brusco waiting for the team to come in. Delar goes in. 1-2 punch. Gets the kill. And Brusco out of the picture here. Now down a member. Burmese Ghouls for the taking for this turtle. Unless RQ Hoshi can do something.
Yeah, like what Delar did there too. Is actually going to recall back to the base after taking in that turret and joining in the side of Burmese Ghouls here. Kind of adds up to the burst damage that they had. Not only do they get it in the form of like Blink here with the Guinevere, but with Delar actually joining in the fights, it's actually pretty good here for Burmese Ghouls. But Delar also understands that he kind of needs to take back the space that RQ Hoshi has been taking, and so far he's doing in the split push pretty much what the Burmese Ghouls has been doing even in the group stage. Here comes the last turtle though.
Blink could be in trouble here. Skylar going in with Blazing Duet, gonna force him back. Irad able to get the turtle though off of it, so they're happy with it. Delar able to get the next turret down to the bottom side, so trade cross map objectives for now. Was that worth it? Is that the good call for Burmese Ghouls here, Kim?
I think it's a point that Burmese Ghouls kind of understands that RQ Hoshi, yeah, okay, they've been taking in, they've been winning in all of these team fights so far. So Delar, I like what he's doing, and this was what he has been doing even in the group stage, right? Creating the space for Burmese Ghouls, and you really need this, especially in the current meta that everybody really loves to go for team fights, and sometimes you don't even notice it. You don't really have that space in the map. It's gonna be harder to go for those team fights, especially like once these turrets are down, you kind of have to send someone back in, so it's going to be like -1 when it comes to the team fight. So not only do you have to join in the team fights, you have to get the map control too here for the side of Burmese Ghouls, which is what Delar has been doing so far here for the side of Burmese Ghouls.
Yep, and with that, right, this the main thing is building up enough time for this thing for Skylar here. Now, once again in the mid lane, they want to go ahead and duke it out. Brusco taking a ton of damage, goes in with a jump, gets the Minoan Fury as well, but look at the backside. Nico's going to be the one to fall, and now Irad holding Stitch back. Blink trying to help him out. Skylar now joining the fight. Appraiser's Wrath going to come down. It's Stitch that falls there in the jungle. So RQ clapping back, looking for Delar. He's on the run. Into the jungle he goes. Banana going to stick to him, cancels him out from the dash, and still going. Might even get the kill there in the solo, but also looking at the replay here, look at how this unfolded. Not sure, he's actually still in the chase there, by the way, on the live cam, but what a setup and what a play here from RQ. Oh, they're gonna get him.
Burmese Ghouls.
It looks like they're getting him.
Oh, yep.
Delar, you tried.
There it goes. Yep. Well, he was successful though. He was able to take down that second tier tower there on the bottom side. And if you look at the goal too, like it seems like RQ Hoshi is managing pretty well up against the Burmese Ghouls here, but it's not that far of a gold lead. It's 1,000, yeah, 1,000 gold lead at least here for the side of RRQ. If they manage to take this Lord, this should be at least a little bit more space for them to take in at least all of the second tier towers here for Burmese Ghouls. Again, the space for their side, and not to mention like if you look at Skylar's stats, 203 on this Claude, you saw in that last replay that he was already shredding apart all these tanky front lines that the Burmese schools had with just one blazing duet.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, this is where you want to be. 11 minutes in, you're quite beefy on this Claude here for Skylar, and it's showing, right? A lot of the times, even if Brusco was out there, some people might be like, oh, Brusco, what are you doing? But a lot of the times he's actually able to be a nuisance so much on this Minotaur that he's able to get a lot of resources out, and then Skylar able to shine later on with the setups, and of course, that's just how it's been so far. But now that they're playing around this Lord here, you can see Delar's still putting the pressure on the top side. He picks up the Malefic Roar. He's going to go ahead and try to get that, but there it's the tier 2 going down in the mid lane. Irad keeping Soxa there at bay. They might want to respond to this. If he still gets to that base, it looks like Skylar's going to go back. Lord is going to get worked on, though, but not the mid-turret in the base, half health. Now Delar might be making his way to cut them off here. Conceal play going to be used as well, but it gets spotted out for now. They don't commit. So, again, Delar is just trying to find what he can here, Kim.
Now it seems like this was the same case. Like this Paquito seems to be a staple choice here for the Burmese schools, not only for Delar. There was also a time in the group stage that this was the thing that Nico has been doing. Take a look at the items here so far. It is going to be, wow, Skylar at least leading in terms of a gold lead here right now. 9,700, nearing already 10,000. That is way far from what Stitch has. 1-2-0 on the Bruno. He's already gotten that Wind of Nature too, just in case he gets picked off here or gets into like a head-to-head here with Delar. Having that Wind of Nature is going to be crucial in the team fights.
It's going to be clutch, right? That's what that's going to be. And like I said, when Claude gets to this point, you have these 4 specific items locked in. It's really tough to deal with because you also got to catch him, right? The way that he's going to use that BMI to kind of get out of some of these situations. Octa picking up a Divine Glaive as well. Minoan Fury with the Flicker combination goes through. Look at them getting whittled down. Soxa could be in trouble. There's the knock-up, though, and he's able to get her out with the BMI. Now Soxa the one to fall into the jungle. Delar trying to get the punches off here, but he's got to respect the damage. I'm offended, not going to connect. And they might still just pull it back. Still 30 seconds away from this Lord, but RQ finds a kill.
Yeah, the swing of the gold too from 38K for the side of RQ. Then it swooped all the way up to like a 4,000 gold lead right now, just with that one shutdown onto Soxa, which is exactly why RQ was willing to commit that clash. Like Soxa was right in the middle, Skylar having that insane amount of burst, plus Octa too. So it's not gonna be easy for a boxer to just roll in when you have the Molina onto him. Actually, if you take a look at the replay, you might actually catch it. He gets in that Minoan sphere from Brusco, and at the same time, it really set things up here for both Octa and Skylar to just free hit him. Now it's gonna be the first enhanced Lord of the game. 14 minutes in, RQ Hoshi gonna be starting it up.
Let's see, Burmese Ghouls, do they actually want to try to pull something off? Soxa could come down to it. Nico holding on to that Ruby ultimate once again. RQ knows what's up. Delar also positioning here. They're going to have to go for it. Prazer's Wrath going to come down. Irad able to secure it, though. Gets the Lord. And now Sox left to his own. Will fall into the river. Now Blink in trouble. Gets I'm Offended combination here. Flickers on out. Delar couldn't do anything but watch. And Soxa's the one to fall. RQ ready to make the power play.
Oh, I like the attempt there of Soxa to try and steal in with the Lord. Roll in and click that Retribution. But I think Burmese Schools kind of was trying to go for maybe possibly a split push. Like if you look at that particular moment when Soxa was going to try to go in, like you see Delar and Stitch going to try to make a move on that mid lane, but it's a little bit too late now because Enhanced Lord for the side of RQ. They can take all of the inhibitors here. They don't have a good amount of burst to take down the front line.
Yeah.
But here comes Irad.
Irad he's gonna get pulled. He has the immortality to maneuver first, gonna be jumped in. Look at the deal coming out from Skylar. Able to get the kill on Soxa. Brusco is the one to fall from Delar, though, so it's a 1-for-1 for now. Can they hold it together? Blink gonna be able to jump in. Takes quite a bit of damage himself. The flicker comes through, and he's keeping him at bay. Lord finally gonna go down. Nico has to run out of there, buy some time, some space, but he ultimately dies. And they hold on to a sliver of health on this turret for a little bit longer. Delar trying to keep the minion at bay. Banana jumps in, finds the connection, but look at the damage from Delar. The 1-2 punch isn't enough to get a kill, though. And now RQ looking to end the game, looking to end the series here. Can they do it? 3 down for Burmese Ghouls. It looks like they're going to take the disciplined route here, Kim, and back off for now.
Yeah, if they overcommit there, they could have been punished there by Stitch, who also has almost all the items that a marksman needs, right, in the late game. And by this time, like 16 minutes in mid to late game, everybody has what they need to be able to go up against your opponents. But what RRQ Hoshi has here, as compared to Burmese Ghouls, is the burst damage. You've seen it in the Nana. That was like 2 hits onto Saksa. He also has the Athena's shield there. So even that wasn't able to counter it out. And not to mention, I just noticed his emblem here right now. That additional burn that you get when you pop in your skills from that emblem from Okta. So kind of really hard for the tanky frontline here of Burmese Ghouls. They're going to have to rely on Stitch here and even Blink. Then again, same case from what they had in game number 1. Great solid front line, but no one to kind of answer out to the back line here of RRQ Hoshi, because Dilar's busy pushing, right? Dilar's busy pushing. There's no one to take down the Nana, no one to take down Skylar, who is also very mobile here as a Claude.
When you're looking at RQ Hoshi here, Skylar 3-0-7, Octa 4-0-8, it's tough to deal with, like that kind of damage, because it's kind of like, even if you try to get them down, you have to work through the passive, you have to work through a BMI and a wind of nature. Like there's so many things to fall through, not to mention get through that front line, right? The front line, not to mention the peels available with a Ruby or even a Fredrin, right? So this is going to be a Lord, most likely going to the hands of RQ once again, unless Burmese Ghouls can do something about it. But even Saksa just trying to get some of this vision. Blink waiting patiently as well. Still, Lord, less than half health here. They might try to make it a miracle play if they can pull it off. Stitch positioning here is going to be crucial as they approach this. But right now, RQ, Delar taking a ton of damage. He's kind of out of the picture. So now the numbers in the advantage for RQ, and that's going to be Lord going in their hands. There's nothing Burmese Ghouls could do with that, considering the fact that Delar had to go back to heal up.
Yeah, the presence of mind, too, of like Octa and Skylar, to think that they had their eyes on the Lord. And they were also keeping Dilar in check, right? He was trying to go for the mid tower, and RQ Hoshi knows that. They have all the space that they get, so if they actually took Dilar down there, that wouldn't have been a big thing. But for RQ Hoshi, right, they've gotten everything secured. They got all these beefy front line to kind of contain that Lord pit. And you see how Skylar was chunking it out real fast too. So at this point, everybody has everything that they got, to the point that Iran's already chunking up all of the damage. Gets tugged in though.
Wow. Iran already taking a ton of damage. Immortality going to be popped. Blink as well. Still has his. Can they pull it off? Look at the damage. Delar going to be taken out really quickly. Skylar on the backside still going. Lord's still going to be up here. They want all the kills before they end the game. It's a triple for Skylar, and they take the series in a sweep, sending Burmese Ghouls out of the tournament.
To think that we thought that Burmese Ghouls going back to their identity, it did work out for them. Actually, it did. They took back the space early to mid game, but unfortunately for the side of RQ Hoshi, the damage when it came to the late game. 2 bursts coming out from the Molina Blitz, and at the same time they had to deal with the Blazing Duet. And mind you, they haven't shut down Skylar or Octa that entire game, so that already sends their gold lead all the way up. Without the shutdown gold, without the items, it was really hard for the side of Burmese Ghouls to bounce back.
I mean, even taking a look at the highlights here, like you said, Kim, there was